Well, this would work as well.
Less than a minute to start time.
Anyway, we should start. Correct. So, we recorded yet?
Yep.
Okay.
So let's start. Welcome to IETF 115. This is the MPLS working group. Please make sure that you wear your mask unless you are speaking, and please scan the scan me code in order to be on the blue sheets. So we will be a distributed sessions. We have 3 time zones, so the chairs are sitting in 3 different time zones, and Stuart is going to support me here. Yeah.
Who's keeping the minutes?
Oh yes,
That's Matt, isn't it?
yeah. So we need a minute taker and we need JavaScript, I guess.
So that
Anyone?
is Mac online.
I don't know.
I volunteer to minute taking, but I don't mind help from the audience as well.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. And you are monitoring the Java, I guess.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
monitoring the
Okay.
camera.
So node well. Yeah, well known, I guess. Let me see. Yeah. So blue sheets, Java is a minute taking. We have a minute taker. The agenda is also online and updated. Everything else is fine, I guess. So we have 4 presentations today. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 4 presentations today. I think 2 are here on site and 2 are remote. 10 minutes per presentation and altogether 1 hour. Yes. Next slide. So working group status, Loa, for you, or shall I continue?
I just talked to Tarek and he volunteered to take it.
Oh, okay. Tarek? Yeah.
Yeah, this errata, we have an errata that was reported against RFC 8960. I, as one of the co-authors of this draft, we acknowledge this is a miss in the RFC, and the suggestion will work. So we will be following up with the AD on closing this matter. It seems that there is a duplicate errata on this, and we will look into that. Okay. Do you want me to continue, Nick,
Yes, if
on
you
this?
want, sure. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So in terms of liaisons, we have none egressing from MPLS working group. We have one that came in back in March, and it came to multiple working groups, and we will be looking into that. There was a session today, maybe not in the slides, but about the network slicing identity. It was with liaison with 3GPP. I could not attend remotely, but not sure if Loa or Nick, have you attended?
No, I had the same problem, so I think we have to check afterwards. That was
Okay.
today at around noon, I guess, the session. Yeah.
It was earlier today, but we
Yeah.
could not log in. So that's one thing on that. Maybe we'll provide an update to the working group on subsequent sessions or via email. So next slide, please. We have no new RFCs this time. We thank all the working group members and authors for diligently working on the working group documents, and we encourage them to continue to work and delivering those, to become RFCs. We have one document in IESG, and we recently adopted a document that's on the agenda today. This is the MSD Yang document. Next slide, please. So in terms of the existing working group documents, the first one here, IGRIS TLV NILFEC, the early code allocation expired and we had to renew that. We have a couple of M&A documents that are listed here. They're existing MPLS documents, but we will talk about them in more details in the joint session. We are missing a couple of reports on some of the documents that you don't have a note next to them. So hopefully the authors are present and they can provide the chairs with an update later on. We have the RFC 6374 SR document. The authors have declared this is stable and ready for working group last call. The chairs will recorded this and will take the next steps as needed. The next one below it as well, SREPOAM, is a candidate for working group last call. And the last one here, there was a MPLS BFD directed. There was a upload new revision that was posted, and in it they changed the status to experimental. And the plan is to progress this to working group last call. We have one also that's ready for working group last call, which is the RI RSVP FRR. And just to let the working group know that we are tracking these. Okay, so next slide, please. So in terms of individual documents, a couple of them are on the agenda either on this session or the joint session. I will not go into details of each one of them. So maybe we'll skip the update to individual ones. Next slide, please. Next. Okay. So this is the MPLS working group session, and I wanted to bring up that we have a design team that's been working on M&A and M&A solution activities, and we wanted to bring to your attention that we were weekly meeting to discuss the M&A activities, and we may need to revisit the frequency and the recurrence of the meetings. So this is something that's up for the members to discuss. There was the recent topic that was brought up, and in terms of non-IP payloads and the interactions with M&A packets. So that's something that the design team will have to look at, and we'll see if we will keep the periodic meeting and the same frequency. So that with that, I will close, and I'm done with my status update. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone would have on this.
Just before we go there, Stuart, can I do a mask reminder, please? Or everyone have masks, please? Thank you.
Thanks. So no questions so far? Okay. So let's continue.
Okay.
Let's continue with the next presentation. I think it's yes, Tarek, it's you with the wiki.
Still me. Yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you. So this is an update to the working group on wiki migration that's happening in IETF. It's informative plus some actions that we're asking either the members or the chairs will take on. So let me start with the plan on the next slide, and we'll go through the actions after. So there's a new there are plans to migrate from the old wiki to a new wiki, and the plan is to turn off the old wiki that's tracked on track.ietf.org sometime in November, right after IETF 115. And they want to off the old wiki so that the we don't users or visitors looking for content don't hit any stale content, or the search engines don't reveal information that's not up to date. So we will not keep two copies of the information, and the old copy will disconnect from the web. Um, all content that was on the old wiki will continue to live, and it will be archived. But pulling it out will not be a straightforward process. There's a Docker image that people would have to download and run on their machine to extract it. So in terms of actions for the working group, we need to migrate anything that's of value to the working group to the new wiki. We already have a new wiki with minimal content on it. I think Loa helped set it up, but we will need to populate it with the relevant content. There's a guide to individuals contributing to wiki. It's a very well documented guide, so I encourage people to go through it. People can directly edit the page or use Git to commit the changes. There's also a Zulip channel that was set up for helping raising questions and discussions. And there's a support email as well if people want to use it for if they run into issues. Next slide, please. So the ask from the working group is for volunteers, if you can, to help in sorry, to help in migrating the content from the old wiki to the new wiki. So we will be doing that, as much as possible. But this will be we have a limited time to migrate as much as possible before the old wiki will be turned off. So in terms of using the wikis for meetings that we do, as well as tracking updates to documents, we will have to use the new wiki from now and on. So that's about it. It was a heads up on migrating our wikis to the new placeholder. So I hope people are aware of it now. I think that was the last slide on this, and I'm happy
Yes.
to answer any questions if people have any.
None. No questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Perhaps we need a wiki migrator-thon.
So next is MSD Young update.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yingzhen Ju. I'm going to present an update of the Young data model for MPLS MSD on behalf of all the co-authors. Next slide, please. So this draft has recently been adopted as a working group document. So just a bit history. MSD stands for maximum seed depth, and it's defined in RFC 8476 and 8491. So this data model was originally part of the segment routing data model, which is already published as RFC 9020. And it was suggested by the IESG during the last call to separate this part from the segment routing data model, because it's more MPLS characteristics. This model augments the base MPLS model that's defined in RFC 8960. Next slide, please. So thanks for Tom's careful review during the adoption call. So we made some editorial changes, added some references, also updated the security consideration during the adoption call. Next slide, please. So this page shows the tree diagram of the entire data model. So you can see it's a very small one. Basically, it has two parts. The node MSD is a list of the node MSD based on MSD types. Also, the link MSD, which augments the MPLS interface with the link MSD. Same as node MSD is based on the MSD types. So this data model has the common definition of MSD type, and both the OSPF and the ISS MSD Young extension have dependency on this model. So we sure hope we can progress this model fast. Next slide, please. So next step, because this is a really simple, straightforward data model, and now it's a working group document. We hope we can progress this soon, and we'd like to request the Young Doctor last call review and routing directorate last call review. And after that, we hope we can do a working group last call. So if anyone has any comments or questions, please let us know. That's
Yes, nothing heard?
Yeah. Any question?
There's one question, yeah.
No. Thank you.
Hi.
Can I do
Hi,
another mask
Ingen?
reminder?
Yeah. Sure.
Can I do another mask reminder, please? Thank you.
Questions on
Hi, I had a
Ketan,
question.
you're-
Sorry.
Go
Yeah.
on.
Hi, Yingzhen. So the MSD types that are defined today are not all MPLS specific. There are some MSD types defined for SRv6.
Yes.
How is that going to be handled?
So this one so far is now considering SRv6. I think SRv6 has its own data model, so it's up to the SRv6 authors to decide what to do with it.
But
This
the
one is
names,
MPLS data
but
plane only.
okay, but the number space for MSD types that you had in the previous slide is common.
Yes.
There is
So
there
that
is not
one,
a okay.
I suppose you can either augment this one, or if I can talk with the SRv6 authors, if it's really necessary, we can split it into a separate IANA module. It's just for the type
Yeah.
definition.
So I'm perhaps I'm not aware. I missed that thing, but SID or segment depth was indeed SR specific. So yeah,
They don't
I'm not
have
sure
to
why
be
the IST.
together, but yeah. Jeff?
Okay.
If you read the, just answer Microsoft, if you read the ISS RFC that defines MSD, the language is that we explicitly define type number one, which is MPLS specific. The rest will be defined in the future. So for me, this split wasn't really obvious, and that's why we did it initially as kind of part of common model. But since working group decided to split it, I would assume we'll do the same for Service 6. Even so, you're completely right. The MSD scope is larger than just MPLS.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, Keaton, we can talk offline if you want
Sure.
to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tarek, you are next.
question to Yingzhen, but I see she is left. Maybe I'll take it offline then. If
Oh, okay.
all right,
You can
okay.
also go ahead.
Is she back?
Yeah.
Okay. My question is related to what Ketan started to talk about, and also related to a comment that we got during adoption. It was a suggestion to go with an IANA module for documenting the MSD types rather than defining them in your module. Is that something that you will pursue, or what are your plans?
I think just like the discussion we just had with Keaton is if it's necessary, if SRv6 authors don't want to augment this module, then we can split it. Otherwise, I don't think it's really that necessary to split it, because I don't expect the MSD type will increase that much. So,
Okay.
but yeah, we can work with the SRv6 authors together. If we can progress this draft fast, we are not going to cause any dependencies for them. So I think that's okay. Otherwise, it's gonna be problematic for everybody.
Yeah, I think we should not rush this. There is an issue here, but we can take it on the list.
So the base protocol model is dependent on this. If we kind of postpone it, the interdependency will kick in. And I really don't, again, as I said, I don't necessarily understand why we had to take it out of base model. In SRv6, we could either build single models that address MSDs or do and follow work as we did here and have MSD for SRv6 as a separate model.
Yeah.
If, again, working group wish
It's
to do so.
more up to the SRv6 young authors.
Okay, thanks.
Any more questions or comments?
The queue is empty, so
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you. So who is next?
It's Greg.
Yes, it's Greg.
Okay. Next slide, please. So what is the simple two-way active measurement protocol? It is a performance measurement. The two-way means that we have one actor that originates test packets. This actor is identified as a session sender and transmitting to their peer session reflector. Session reflector performs some processing on a test packet and reflects it back to the session sender. So thus, this protocol enables one-way delay measurement. It can measure one-way packet loss, also to detect packet reordering and packet duplication. So far at IPPM working group, we published two RFCs, the baseline specification RFC 8762 and extensions 8172. Extensions include extra padding, direct loss measurement, time source reporting that intended to help to evaluate the accuracy of the timestamp. So to differentiate where the timestamp acquired using the hardware assistance or it's a software based. And follow-up telemetry. So this particular case might be interesting for virtualized environment so that packet that is reflected in virtualized environment in a server, it's using the software-based the packet. So if it's an NFV timestamp, the packet will experience unpredictable delay in queuing. So, but many systems can report back to the sender their actual wall clock value when the packet was physically transmitted. So that value then can be used in a consecutive test packet, so that to get more precise, more accurate delay measurement. So the mechanism is similar to echo request, echo reply, and its format is a symmetric packet size, but with additional using the Yang-based model, which is in working group status document. It can be modified to do asymmetric measurements. Next slide, please. So the base specification are not network specific, and in a discussion at IPPM working group, so there was brought to attention and proposed the mechanism. This uses stamp extensions to communicate, for example, the return path for the reflected packet. Also, STAMP supports simplified demultiplexing of sessions using STAMP session ID. So with all that, it appeared that using the approach similar to bootstrapping BFD session over MPLS LSP, it could be a useful option to use to extend LSP ping to bootstrap step test session. So here you see the captured proposed format of the TLV, STEM TLV, that includes session identifier, destination port number, and so currently STAMP can use UDP port 862, but at the same time it can use a port number from ephemeral range. So this field can be used to signal to the reflector on which port it should expect STAMP test packet from the sender. And optional extension for specification of the reflected path, reflected packet path, so which can reuse FAC TLVs and non-FAC defined in early and previous extensions to LSPP. Next slide, please. So this is pretty simple, and welcome your comments, questions, suggestions, and well, at some point we'll ask for working group adoption. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Thank you. So, Loa?
Quick question. I read the draft. It seems to be in a pretty good shape. Are we ready for working group adoption kind of immediately?
Well, thank you very much, Law, for your consideration. Yes,
Actually, I actually asking, what are you waiting for? Why are you not? Why are you? Do you have the question mark on your slide?
I try to be
Polite.
humble.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not always, but I'm trying.
It sounds like Loa has to pick an action up. So,
Yes.
Yeah. Done.
Okay.
So,
Tarek, isn't it? Next?
now Tarek is next, yeah.
So skim through the draft, and so a good starting point, I think. I just have a clarification question. So we have in MPLS, we published RFC 7876, which allows you to do performance monitoring and measurement with MPLS with IPUDP. And it doesn't require bootstrapping for the session ID. I'm wondering if you can highlight the advantages of this approach versus what we have already.
Yeah. Um, I like their ideology of RFC 6374 because it resembles ideology of Ethernet OEM and even goes more flexible because it allows combination of packet delay, packet loss measurement in one packet. So we've got quite a lot of interest in the stamp, and I'm aware of a number of implementations being worked on and being prototyped. So I believe that stamp, and again, so let me start probably from a little bit far. Stamp allows for interworking with the T1 plate. But unfortunately, the state of the T1 plate, it's not standard. In the way it was defined in RFC 5357 as appendix, so it doesn't have the standard richness and fullness. So it's not fully defined. So thus, in my experience working with the T1 plate, we experienced quite a lot of problems of interworking with the different implementations. So STAMP is attempt to bring to the industry standard-based solution for the simple measurement that allows not only delay and packet loss measurement, but detection of reordering and packet duplication, and at the same time can work together in an environment where the T1 plate is deployed, because their characteristics and principles of STAMP can allow it to interwork with the T1 plate in unauthenticated mode. So if you want, I can go into more the specifics of a STAMP, but I just want to mention, really concentrate on discussion of bootstrapping mechanism.
Matthew.
Yeah. Hey, Matthew Bocci, Nokia. Are you intending to use LSP ping for session maintenance as well? Like you can with
that's a great question. So yes, I might be not really clearly articulated in this version, but intention is a little bit different from BFD bootstrapping, because in BFD bootstrapping, the assumption is that only single packet with BFD discriminator TOV is used. So in talking to people implementing that, the assumption is that all consecutive will be rejected. So in this case, and I will clarify, I'll make sure it's clear, explicitly stated. For the same session ID, there might be a number of or sequence of pings that change the return path. Because, for example, you want to change the return path.
Okay. Just make sure that I recommend making sure that the text is really clear on how it should be used,
right?
Whether
Yeah.
it's mandatory or not.
It's a good point. Thank you.
Yeah, there were quite a few interop issues that came up in the industry in general with LSP BFD, because the text is in that RFC is a bit vague as to whether it's mandatory to do this.
Yeah, and I agree that assumption is that for 5884 that only one BFD discriminator of the same value will be accepted.
Rakesh.
Hi, Greg. So we may have touched upon this offline, but if you can also add some tags on the stamp reflector, that's a stateful kind of thing, that would be useful as well.
Yes, indeed, and yes. Rakesh and Footer. So we talked about it, and I really appreciate discussion with them, because, well, they were inspiration to this work. Yes, and we recently talked, and that need to be clearly explained. So their feature of STAMP protocol is that a reflector might have two modes, stateful and stateless. Stateless does not allow one-way packet loss measurement, because it's not expected to count packets it send to the sender. So thus, it effectively what it does, it takes the sequence number from received packet, copies in a reflected packet, so the sender cannot measure one-way packet loss, because always it will be the same as it's sent. So, and yes, I would clarify, I would make it explicitly mentioned and clarified in the next version of the document. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Looks like the last question.
So next is LSP ping.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It's Xiaomi speaking. This presentation is on ASP ping trace routes for enabled in situ OEM capabilities. This is a 0.0 version individual draft. Next slide, please. This is the background of this draft. Draft IETF IPPM IOM conf state defines a general method of IOM capabilities discovery, including IOM capabilities formats. In that draft, echo request reply is used for IOM capabilities discovery, through which the IOM encapsulating node can discover the IOM capabilities of each IOM transit and decapsulating node along the LSP. This draft is a companion document of that IPPM document. Specifically, this draft defines SPP trace route extensions to achieve IOM capabilities discovery in MPLS networks. Next slide, please. This page shows the newly defined two SPP TOVs, one for echo request, another for echo reply. The upper figure is the format of the IOM capabilities query TOV used in echo request. The value field of this TOV is a list of namespace IDs. The lower figure is the format of the IOM capabilities response TOV used in echo reply. The value field of this TOV is a list of capabilities objects. And each object represents one type of IOM capabilities in one namespace ID. Besides, this draft defines a new return code called no matched namespace ID, which indicates the responder found the query TOV doesn't include any namespace ID, or none of the received namespace IDs is recognized, or none of the received namespace IDs is enabled by the local policy. Next slide, please. For the IOM capabilities response TOV, 6 IOM capabilities sub-TOVs are defined. They are IOM pre-allocated tracing capabilities sub-TOV, IOM incremental tracing capabilities sub-TOV, IOM proof of transit capabilities sub-TOV, IOM edge-to-edge capabilities sub-TOV, IOM DX capabilities sub-TOV, and IOM end-of-domain sub-TOV. Next slide, please. This page shows an example of IOM capabilities query TOV and response TOV. In this example, the IOM capabilities of two namespace IDs are queried by the sender, and the responder replies with all the IOM capabilities corresponding to the two namespace IDs enabled by the local policy. Next slide, please. Next steps for this draft, review comments and collaboration are always welcome. We authors will revise this draft to improve it, and then ask for working group adoption. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. So Tarek?
Tarek, as a participant, thanks for the draft update. Usually, or more commonly, the capabilities, it's desirable to be known even prior to establishing the LSP. There is a dependency here that you have the LSP. With your approach, you have to have the LSP present, and then you're discovering capabilities using this LSP trace or ping. So there is this shortcoming, I would say, that you cannot discover the capability before the LSP is set up. And even if you change the LSP path, how is that going to affect the capabilities that you've discovered before? So do you have to re-trigger again every time the path changes for the LSP?
Yes, I think if the SPP change, then discovery capability discovery need to be triggered again. Yes. Do you know any protocols or mechanism that can discover capabilities before or before the SPP is established?
IGP capability advertisement. So usually you would flood it in IGP, and any head end or any anyone setting up the LSP would know it in advance.
Yes, I think the authors can compare this method described in this draft and IGP method, and report to the working group. Is that okay?
All set then, isn't it? On the
Yeah.
flip?
Thank you. No more questions.
Okay.
No?
And I think,
Declare it closed.
yes,
And we'll resume tomorrow with the joint session.
right. What time is it?
First thing, is it 9:30?
9:30 then, I guess.
Session.
Yeah, first session. So
Right.
see you either tomorrow or in Yokohama.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know. For us, Derek will know right off the top. I just, yes. But I'll come. Put some on, I mean, maybe you guys tell them, you know what, Chris, I told him. He said, I don't know. That's wrong. That's completely wrong. To change the encoding. I mean, the capability, that's the